Hosting senior pastor here at Haines. Been here for about a year and a half, and I'm also the executive director of Alon. As the senior pastor here at Haines, again, I welcome you to this meeting. Obviously, our connection to the Germantown High School building is evident. Surrounds us on three sides of this church, and of course, middle school across the street, we're really surrounded on four sides. We are a part of the physical plant of whatever happens here. And so we are deeply concerned, and that's why we were glad to host this meeting about what's going to happen here at Germantown High School. I would say this to you as someone who's been here a year and a half. We have already experienced a lot here at this church, around this building. People have been breaking into the building. People have been stripping the building of copper and other metals. I can look out of my office and see the doors of the school that are behind the church and see people walking in and walking out on a regular basis. We have had assaults that have happened in this back area here. We've called the police on many occasions. It's interesting. The captain is here. He's right in the back. So I asked him to sing to you. And so we've had many issues of safety. We even had the oil that heats our education building. Somehow it was being siphoned off. We were getting bill after bill and could not figure what was going on. As the oil, we had to call the oil man instead of every 2 or 3 weeks, every week to heat the building. We knew something was happening. And so we've been dealing with the safety issues around this building since obviously the closing. And so that calls us, I want to make sure I am transparent with you. That calls us to call to find out the number of the developer, because all the police kept telling us was it is the developer's responsibility, it's the developer's responsibility to secure the building. That we called the developer to find out what was happening with the building. As we called the developer, he came and actually began to seal the first floor. But of course, we asked the question when we met with him, what are you going to do about the building in general? And we got some explanation and a plan and a promise to see a plan at a later date. We were very disappointed. This was last October. We were very disappointed when we found out just a couple of weeks ago that meeting was called, the legal term, the meeting with the near neighbors. Meeting with 7 of our leaders was meeting with the near neighbors for the entire community. I'm a pastor.
Yes, sir. And you're in the church. And you're in the church.
I'm in the church.
Yes, sir.
I ain't gonna tell you what I wanted to say. All right. And so we feel very strongly. James has been here 150 years. We literally have members who were here and baptized when they were 9 years old, that are now 90 years old, and still coming to church here, and still committed to this community, and still committed to this neighborhood, and still committed to this church. There's no intention to do anything except make sure that whatever happens in this development, it is for the best of the entire community, and that everybody is going to have an opportunity to participate and have voice in what this building is going to be.
Yes, sir.
And so we stand with you at this meeting. This is not going to just be a one-time thing. we are going to be willing to host as many meetings necessary, to hear as many voices as necessary. Eventually, meeting with the developer on several occasions, we're willing to open this church up and make sure that this community is heard. And when you are heard, we know that in the long run, we're going to win for everybody when the people are the ones that are going to So I'm glad to partner today with Power, and James is glad to partner today with Germantown United. I know there are other partners out there that I'm still learning. That's just the one I ran into first. We all want to partner in this together, so don't feel like there's some kind of exclusion. We all will do this together. And so if I don't know you, make sure you get up to know me today. Make sure that we contact each other so we can have this broad-based coalition come together and build a better Germantown. So I'm going to turn it over now to the head of Germantown United, Julie Stapleton. Carol Stapleton. Stapleton Carol. Let's bring her on, please.
I want to welcome everybody, and I would like you to look around and give ourselves a kind of applause. Really packed agenda, but we want to hear your voice, so we've set time at the end, similar to what we did earlier at the microphone, but we wanted to make sure that you got as much information as possible. We are also committed to staying a little bit longer if we need to make sure that everybody's voice is heard. I'm going to give a quick 10-minute overview of what's happened since the school closed in 2013, in case you're not up to speed, so that you've got a good background. But before I do that, when you came in and you signed in, everybody received one of these. What we'd like you to do is fill this out based on your impression of the proposal that was submitted by High Top Development, which is the rendering of the front yard of the school. Try not to criticize this. The front of the school with 2 box stores and 68 parking spaces. So we'd like you to use that as your basis for answering these. If you can turn them in at the end, what we'll do is compile them, and it'll give us some data and neighborhood feedback that we can share with the developer as they're making their decisions and they're trying to take the necessary steps to be able to develop the property. So in 2013, the school closed under protest. It was done very quickly with very little say from the community. There's lots of alumni here. I'm sure if you could raise your hand if you're a Germantown alumni. So there's significant pride in this community for this space, and so there was a lot of hurt and a lot of resentment when it did close. Following the closure, the schools were bundled. So that Fulton and Germantown High School were sold in a bundle of 3 other schools, so a total of 5 schools. And they did that because they didn't think they were going to be able to sell Germantown High School, so they paired it with a school that they knew that would go at a higher price. And so we were bought in 2013, or it was Concordia as a developer from Bethesda that actually bid on the bundle and was awarded to it. There was a Point Breeze neighborhood that objected to their high school being redeveloped, and so they sued. A group of community members sued the school district, and so the sale of the properties, all 5 of them, was held up for 4 years until 2017, when it did in fact change hands to Concordia. Since then, it's a little bit murky because it's still reported as owned by Concordia with the city, but we have in fact evidence that it's been sold to a developer named Jack Azran. The court papers that came out when the sale of the Point Breeze property was approved indicated that Germantown High School was sold for $100,000 and Fulton was sold for $500,000. Which I don't know, that's less than my mortgage, so it's pretty terrible.
It's historic.
Yeah. Germantown High School was sold for $100,000 and Fulton was sold for $500,000. So since then,
Do you know why it was sold so cheaply?
It was, all 5 properties, the Point Breeze property was sold for like $2.5 million. They'd said in the court documents it was for tax purposes that it was delineated in that manner.
Wow.
I just think it's an insult to our community. So the developer's been sitting on the property. The developer's been sitting on the property and he's done absolutely nothing, as you can hear from Reverend Holtzman. In fact, they haven't been paying any of their property taxes on either of the buildings, so they owe $150,000 in back taxes. So recently, I think sometime in January, somebody found, I think it might have been Adam Dolly from Germantown United, found that picture on a developer's page where they were promoting our front lawn of our high school as a dollar store. And it's supposed to be a parking spots. So, and Reverend Holtzman had actually told them in October that that idea would never fly to our community.
Wait a minute. I told them they ain't gonna work up in here. I know that much about Germantown. It take me that long to know that that's not gonna work. But they did it, they put it together anyway, so.
We take it outside, we can take it to Germantown. We take it outside, brother.
Sign you up.
Yes, ma'am.
So we have been trying to meet with the developer for years. He's never once returned my emails. He's never once, that I know of, returned many people's emails. So he's been resistant to that. So I think we as a community need to do something to force things to move forward.
You better believe it.
And we have some ways to do that. So Jack Azran is not returning phone calls.
Can somebody Google him?
There's 3 entities involved in this. MSC is the broker that's pushing the property as the broker. High Top Development is a partner with Jack Azran, who is the front-facing person for the development. So I've spoken with High Top people who have promised a community meeting once they know their plans. And I begged them, I said, no, we want you to hear us first so that you can know best what to put in this space. And they're refusing to do that. So we called this meeting. I wanted to also, though, bring some information to us, so we are walking into this with as much information as we can from the background. So I brought some awesome guests with me tonight. When you're developing a large property like this, a developer is taking a lot of risk, and it's a lot of finagling with financing, etc. So it's a big deal, and the developer in the end wants to make money. So I think as a community, we need to think about where we want to compromise and where we don't want to compromise. And so I invited Leslie Small with Lewis from Mosaic Development to come and talk a little bit about it with us, about what goes into a development. They're currently doing 2 properties here in Germantown. I have been impressed with the ones that they're doing in West Central Germantown. They've been very engaged with our community. And so I think this is the kind of developer that we want in our neighborhood. So, Leslie.
Hello. Again, my name is Leslie Small-Lewis. I'm one of the principals of Mosaic Development Partners. We are a boutique development firm. We're based in Strawberry Mansion at 30th and Cecil B. Moore. We're right in the neighborhoods, and that's what we are very proud about. That's where we develop. We don't try to compete with the big developers in Center City. That's not where we flourish. So I'm not here to take sides. I'm here to try to provide a bit of information and just to kind of give you some context as to how complicated development is, but how it needs to be a delicate balance between community needs and obviously economic return. Because as you said earlier, there is a lot of risk that goes into developing a large project of this size. There's a lot of debt that has to be signed for. There's a lot of equity that needs to be generated, and a return to those investors need to be made for the development to be sustainable and successful. So, give you a little bit of background for us. We've done a shopping center, as he's proposed, at 7th and Lehigh. It was an old school district building. Some places it works, some places it doesn't. In that particular community, it was a food desert. And we had some initial pushback from the community, but we had meetings. We had multiple meetings. We brought the grocery store operator to meet with the community. And their main concern was fresh produce, fresh meat. And Save a Lot did exactly that. I don't know if anyone has been to the store at 7th and Lehigh, but it is the first prototype where they did bring in fresh produce and fresh meat. So no one's going to be wowed by that. I get it, but I'm telling you that there are different needs in different communities. In Germantown, we're doing a mixed-use development. We're bringing co-working space, maker space, a new sit-down restaurant that a lot of people have said there's not enough of them in Germantown. We're extremely excited about bringing that to Wayne Junction. We're trying to do another project at the Tobahocken train station, and we've had a good amount of interaction with the community, and we heard them. We could have built a 100-unit apartment building, but they didn't want that. They were like, that's too much, it's too dense, we're losing our park beauty of this particular lot. We took that back, we sat down, we crunched numbers, because that's what you have to do, you have to crunch numbers. And we came up with what we all think is a design that works for us economically, but also works for the community. So the thing that you have to know is that you do have power. In order for us as developers to do these projects, they normally require some variances or zoning ordinance change to be able to bring this kind of development into the community. The only way for a developer to be able to get that zoning is for you to agree to it and for the council person to agree to it. So if you want to have your voice heard, that is your power. You can attend those zoning meetings. You can attend the zoning board hearings that they will have for the project and speak your mind and let your council person know that this is not a project that you support. I encourage, I'm not really sure why the developer is not engaging the community. Something that we do is we try to do that early on because it doesn't make sense to be spending money on plans and it's not going to be accepted by the community. It makes more sense to come in, understand your position, see what it is that you may or may not want, and try to negotiate what could make everyone happy. Now, I have no idea what it is that you might want to see at this building, but it's something that he should want to know about and investigate if it's possible. It might mean that he has to do things differently than he normally does, and that's okay. Sometimes that means you have to figure out and look for more types of dollars that they don't traditionally do. Most developers just want to deal with debt and equity. When you're developing in these communities, you have to dig deeper. The capital stack to make these projects work are very complicated. The developer needs to seek special financing through the state, through the federal government. There are programs that are in place to help some of these more challenging properties get developed. Now, I will say in regards to the price that the building was sold, unfortunately, it is a testament to how people think of this community, unfortunately. That same school would have sold for a lot more in University City. University City High School sold for millions of dollars. Why? Because that is a very sought-after, gentrifying neighborhood in Philadelphia. So when they come here, and there's poverty, there's issues with jobs, and they don't see this as a very desirable neighborhood. But they still see it.
If it's not desirable, wait a minute, sister, please, with all due respect. If it's not all that desirable, why they purchase it?
I'll tell you, they want to make money.
Because they got it for cheap. And Cindy Bass, I told her, you can't buy an apple, excuse me, sir. I can take it outside, but wait a minute. You know about civil disobedience? I'm going to be civil. I'm not going to curse, but I'm going to say what I need to say because I pay taxes. I've been in Germantown for over 60 years. Believe it or not, I'm over 60. Nonetheless, by God's grace. But what I'm saying, sis, you're very professional what you're saying. You're educated, Reverend. I mean no harm, okay? But we got to stand up. And that's one of the reasons I'm standing up. Because I can't stand to sit down no more. But another question, if you're out of North Philly and you're developing and you're doing fabulous things in North Philadelphia, why are you coming to Germantown? I'm a developer. We got other developers right here in Germantown. We don't get a shot. We don't get jack. So why would you, it starts at home, then spread abroad. Cindy Bass, I told her I can't buy an apple or orange or a banana in Brickyard. The lower part of Germantown is called Brickyard. Why I got to go to Haines and Green to buy an apple? You know, she asked me. I'm an executive director for a nonprofit. We built those houses in 17th and Belfield with $1.5 million. They're the greenest houses in this country in 2012 for poor and low-income families. I was homeless. I got all the college degree and all that, but I'm a doer and I'm a mover and a shaker by God's grace. Okay? But why, Cindy, you gonna ask me, do I want to sell bananas and oranges and apples? No, I won't build houses.
Absolutely.
Well,
You should be rewarded for your good.
It ain't about reward, sis. Why Cindy Bass, you know what, ain't here?
Yeah. Election day?
Election time! It's election time!
We're going to have a long time for questions, and we want to make sure we give everybody an opportunity. So we want to be able to have her finish what she's saying. She was asked to come really just to kind of give an example of what possibly could be. It doesn't mean she's coming to do development here. She's just coming to give us an idea of what we can do here. And so let's take the example she's given and say, what do you want to see Germantown High School to be? That's really the course of this meeting. What we want to hear from all of you. So this is just a primer. Now we're going to eventually be able to turn it over so that we hear from you specifically about what you would like to see through this property. And then we can start to have a consensus together and build a strong movement to make sure that any developer that comes will develop what we think is best for our community. Is that all right? All right. So I hear you, sister, but we want to make sure that everybody gets a part of this, all right?
I'm cool.
Okay.
Everybody heard.
All right, so let's let the developer finish, and then we can hear from the people a little bit.
Really what's exciting in this room, and I really appreciate her passion, because she's right. You have power in this room. For this many people to be here this evening means that you are passionate about it, you're vested. And this is where your power is going to be. You might not get him to call you back. It might not even happen until he starts to file documents to try to proceed with this project. But that shouldn't stop you. That's when you really stand up. And you have the appropriate venue at that point to make that noise. So you need to understand, you do have the power. And you need to utilize it. But think about what it is that you do want, because that would be extremely helpful to know what are the needs of this community, what could physically work on that site. Start to think about what that looks like, and then you can start to find out, and I have no problem sitting down and really trying to help figure out what is possible. I don't need to be involved in it, but I can help you all to try to figure out spatially, by zoning code, what is absolutely possible on this if this is not what you all want. So I'm just here to just give just a general overview of what development looks like. And it's complicated, folks, but if you all can put your heads together and, as we said, it's a delicate balance, like we said, and be willing to be heard for it, be willing to listen. I just hope they come. I'm disappointed to hear that they're not responding to it, because that's really not the way to come into a community and respect who's here and respect what they want. So I'll be around for questions when you get into the Q&A session, and I'll be more than willing to answer some if you have.
So I'm going to speak for a moment or two about the zoning and what the property is zoned as, because they will be zoning.
Hi everybody, my name is Emily. I work at Germantown County CDC. When you came in, you should have gotten a flyer with a header that says zoning overview. If you didn't, we have tons more and you can get one on your way out. On the back, it details the two possible processes. I don't know how to really say that. I never heard myself say it so loud. That this particular property would have to go through. So some people might not realize the Germantown High School property and the Fulton Elementary School property that wrap around multiple blocks, each of them, are just under 2 addresses. So on your flyer, it lists the 2 different addresses. It's 5901-13 Germantown Avenue and 5915-41 Germantown Avenue. The proposal that was leaked through the real estate marketing company's website primarily concerns the Germantown High School property and the front lawn. So we checked in with the Philadelphia City Planning Commission and planners that represent the Northwest to just clarify what would the process be when we get there with these developers. Should they want to pursue what they propose now or something else? So there's just 2, and one is the zoning map change, and each step of that is detailed on your flyer, and the other is a zoning variance. So a zoning map change, and zoning, bear with me, is somewhat boring, but holds a lot of weight. So a zoning map change is known as remapping or rezoning. And what this means is the zoning map is changed by an ordinance in city council that gives the development site more permissible zoning. So the property in question right now, I believe this was already stated, is zoned RSA 3, which is residential. So right now, and obviously that's, it's a school building with a lawn, but it's zoned residential, you're like, it's the same as your house, basically. So in order to legally do anything there that isn't residential, the developer, the owner, would have to go through this process to have it adjusted. So that's one route where it's completely changed on the books forever, basically. A zoning variance is slightly different, and that's known as a zoning appeal. So under city government, there's the Zoning Board of Adjustment, which some people refer to as the ZBA, and those members are appointed by the mayor, so Mayor Kenny right now, who decides whether the proposed development should be allowed. They consider whether the proposal is consistent with the city's comprehensive plan, which has been dubbed Philadelphia 2035, among other factors. And many of you have probably participated in a zoning variance process if you're familiar with registered community organizations, RCOs. So when a developer is seeking a zoning variance, the property owner files an application with the Department of License and Inspections. If what they want to do isn't permissible on the site, it gets refused by Alon, since it doesn't conform to the current zoning code and maps. And then the next step would be for the owner to appeal the refusal to the ZBA. And that is when it gets punted down to us. I say us, but many of you participate in RCOs, so you, through the registered community organization process. You're notified of the appeal, and whatever the designated RCO is in the area of the property convenes the community meetings. This is what Leslie was emphasizing, how important it is to participate in those, and also to participate in the hearings actually before the ZBA. You can do both. The ZBA then holds a hearing and decides whether to deny or grant the variance. Sometimes, I mean, I'm just going to be real, sometimes they don't care what the community wants. But sometimes they do. And sometimes our political leaders also back what the community wants. Sometimes.
That's what she said.
That is what I said. Most of the time, and send representatives, and that's another thing for follow-up is just because you attend the RCO meeting and you voice your opinion there and that gets captured in the letter that the RCO has to provide, you can also make your own phone calls and submit your own letter and do your own lobbying to your elected officials and ask for representation and represent yourself. So there are a lot of ways. Unfortunately, it's time consuming for us all, but there's a lot of ways to weigh in. All that being said, basically, what's been proposed now isn't actually legally allowed. So that's like, okay, we can sit back for like a second. And that's why we're here today, to get organized for when these processes start getting kicked into high gear. We know what's going on. We're starting to talk more about what we want, which I would also add, if you've seen on the slides, there are two images in color that are the pages from the Philadelphia 2035 plan. Many of you participated in the Planning Commission's process back in the fall. It was an extensive process that included a lot of community engagement sessions. And I would say it fairly captures what a broad range of people living and working in Germantown would like to see at that site. It is obviously far more creative and interesting and includes a lot of public uses. It also includes those uses that are gonna make the developer money. And it's much more appropriate. So when people say, well, what could be here? I think that the community has already said more of what we would like. And just a reminder that those plans are kind of like a master vision. They're not exactly enforceable, but they could be enforceable by us if we all can come together.
Absolutely.
Basically.
Absolutely.
So, another mention about the flyers, we also handed out about 50 color copies of that Northwest plan and about 50 black and white copies of the developer's proposal. We weren't able to make more for tonight and ask that you share with the folks next to you. And when you fill out the community scorecard, reference those materials at the end there. Yes. Yes. So MSC, this real estate broker, basically what they do is, this is what I think that they're doing. So they put together 5 possible configurations of what could work on their site. Some with 2 big box stores, one with 1, all with a whole lot of parking in the lawn. And yeah, so they're just slight configurations. And what they're doing when a developer does something like that is seeing what kind of interest they start getting from like big national retailers to see what's going to be possible for them. So it's like a soft sell, and that's what they're going to use to influence their decisions. And we're hoping to intercept them, basically, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So we have other
She
tools.
deserves an applause.
We have other tools in our arsenal, and I invited some of what the developer might be doing is just sitting on it, speculating, and that's what's been happening. So there are ways that we as a community can force things to move forward. I invited Richard Vanderslice here as a lawyer to talk to us about the, I'm going to butcher this word, the Conservatorship Act. So welcome.
Thank you very much. My name is Rick. I'm an attorney in South Philadelphia. I've done a lot of work with blighted properties and helped communities rehabilitate properties. Just a brief aside as to what was being discussed earlier. On the flyer that's titled Zoning Overview, it references the city's Atlas website. That is a very powerful website, and it can tell you a lot about any property in your neighborhood or that you have a concern about. The city's been going through and adding information that's available to the public in a more user-friendly way, and that's kind of become the hub, and it will take you to areas where you can find out information about properties around you. I was asked to speak tonight about what's called the Abandoned and Blighted Property Act, and I won't bore you with a lot of legalese or anything, but just give you the basics. It was passed by the legislature almost a decade ago to help communities that have properties that have been neglected by their owners and generally technically abandoned, but the standard for abandonment is a legal standard that I won't get into. But basically, if the property hasn't been lived in for a year, the property's in decrepit shape, it hasn't been marketed, which unfortunately looks like the property that is at issue here tonight is in the process of being marketed. And it meets several other criteria. Then you can apply to the court, or one of your community organizations or a neighbor can apply to the court to ask it to allow you or the organization to rehabilitate the building and sell it to put it back into productive use. Some of the things that you look for, that the court is looking for in these types of buildings, is if they're open to trespass, if they've been vandalized, if they're being used for illicit purposes, attractive nuisance to children, if they've been sealed by L&I, or have major structural issues that are wrong with them. I'm sure a lot of people have these in their neighborhood. I have one in my neighborhood that has been something that we've been working on for a long time. The person's gone through bankruptcy to try and avoid taking responsibility for their property, but eventually, with some persistence, you can take a property that has been a blight on the community, and with assistance from the court and sometimes community organizations, and especially the neighbors. Neighbors are very important. You can revitalize property that has been causing blight in your neighborhood. That is a basic overview. There's a project in Wayne Junction that I'm working on right now, and you may have seen a few in your neighborhood. But basically, if property has been abandoned by its owner, and it's not been taken care of, you or your local civic or a neighbor, or even if you want to partner with someone who has the relevant background, you can reach out to me, you can reach out to your local civic, and they can help you at least take the first steps towards identifying the property and seeing if it fits underneath the rubric of this law that was put into effect to help neighborhoods stabilize and turn around and take back either, I call it a broken tooth in the neighborhood, into one building that no one's taken care of, or in a neighborhood where there are several of these. You can start the revitalization of these neighborhoods, and there is not a very significant risk, as whoever does the redevelopment is generally assured of getting some sort of compensation and any money that they've invested back into the property. And I know we're running short on time and you guys are packed into the schedule, so if anyone has any questions about this or have a property they want to run by me, I'll be here for questions. And thank you for allowing me time to speak today.
I know people are really excited about this meeting, but someone was so excited they left their car running and their lights on. So if you are license plate 3914A, a Hyundai, please go outside and deal with your car immediately, because we want to make sure that you get out of here all right. Okay?
I wanted to acknowledge and thank Councilwoman Bass for being here. I know that you've probably rearranged your schedule, so we really appreciate it. Do you want to say anything? Or?
Good evening, everyone. So I'm proud and pleased to be here with you tonight. I do apologize for being late. It's been a very, very hectic night. But I did want to stop by and address any questions that anyone may have. I know there's been a whole lot of talk, a whole lot of speculation, a whole lot of rumors going around, and I want to set the record straight. So that's why I'm here tonight. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. And let's make sure that we're all able to work together to see what we want to see at Germantown. For the record, we have never supported any project that the community did not want. I want to be on record for saying that that is how we operate in the district. That is how we have operated since I took office. And that is how we are going to continue to operate, period. Regardless of the neighborhood, I always tell folks, you don't have to have things in your neighborhood that you don't want, and we say it and we mean it. And that's whether you're in Chestnut Hill or North Philly or Logan or whatever part of the 8th District. That is the policy that drives development in our office, and that is the policy that's going to continue forward as long as this is the policy that you want. Okay? And I believe that this is the policy that you want. And so, again, I'll be happy to answer any questions. The one thing that I did want to just touch on briefly, because I understand that there was some question earlier in the program about the 8th District camera program. And if I could just go back for a second and touch on that. We do have a camera program. We're very excited about it. What it is a, sort of like a home camera program, a home camera system that you may have seen on television, on TV, like a Ring program. Anybody familiar with that? Actually, our program is with Blink cameras. And so these are cameras that if you would qualify, we would come out and install them for you. Normally, we would put 2 in the front of your property and 1 in the rear. Our ideal is that we would put 3 on a block. So you would have 1 on each end of the block and then 1 in the middle so that any activity could hopefully be caught. We want to have this program, especially for you, if you are a part of our Community Leadership Caucus program. This is a program that organizes block captains, committee people, folks from the neighborhood, stakeholders. And what we do is we get together, we meet once a month for about an hour, usually on a Saturday morning. And we say, okay, you're on the 100 block of East High Street. How many potholes do you have? How many abandoned houses do you have? How many lights out do you have? How many families in distress? We take a list from the entire caucus. We go back, we work on those problems. We meet again the next month for an hour, see what progress we've made, what other kind of things we've done. And for folks who are in that program those are the first folks that would actually qualify for the camera program. We also will do the camera program if you live in a high dumping area as verified by the City of Philadelphia's Litter Index, or if you are in a high crime area as identified by the Philadelphia Police Department, or if you are active, and I use that word active, I'm very serious about that. We want to make sure that you are active in your local PDAC. So that means that you are active with the police department. You've been going to the meetings, you're a part of the program, and so those are the ways to qualify to actually be in the camera program. So we're very excited about it. We've got a lot of response. We know it can make a difference, and we're really looking forward to rolling it out. We're going to be installing our first set of cameras this week. So, but I'll be happy to answer any questions anyone may have. Thank you so much for having me.
So I wanted to acknowledge one other point before we move into questions or comments. So shortly after the school was closed, a group of Germantowners got together from lots of different organizations across the neighborhood to put together an application for a community school. So if you're part of that group, there was a bunch of us here. I know there's a bunch here. Could you just stand up and sort of show your face? A lot of hard work went into it. I'd like to reinvigorate our group and think about doing the same thing. We packed the SRC meeting, and I think we had a great proposal. One of the things you might want to consider is reinstituting that group and start planning a school, because we don't have a high school in our neighborhood. So if we're going to do questions the same way we did them earlier, so if you would like to line up here, these are for your comments. We have somebody that's taking notes, so it's going to be a minute to get everybody's email address input into a listserv, but I promise that we will send out notes from this meeting on what was discussed, what was salient with people, etc. So, Reverend Halsey?
Yeah, and if I could, I just want to say, this is really the most important part of this meeting, to hear from you. We want to be very clear about what you want. And so everything that's going to be written down, I'm looking for us to be able to work together, maybe even have some subcommittees down the road where we have people, all of the leadership of the area, to come together and really start to strategize together about what we want. But these initial comments are helping us to get some understanding of what the community really wants. So thank you so much. That mic is probably not on, so if you can push the button, and we can get started.
Good evening. My name is Reverend Halsley, and I'm the senior apostle of Eagles Nest Christian Fellowship, located at 501 West King Street. My family's been invested in this community for over 59 years. I'm a graduate of Germantown High School.
Yes, sir.
I'm a graduate of Roosevelt Junior High School and Fulton Elementary School. I speak as a long-term stakeholder of this community. I've been active and involved in Fulton Planning Commission as an advisor. And from a professional standpoint, I have a degree in architecture. I have a grant of business at 409-11 Queen Lane as a general contractor and a cabinet shop that I had there with my business partner, Mr. William Henderson. And so I speak from 2 points. First off, as a professional. This is a white elephant. And that's why it was sold for $100,000. Let's be honest, because it's going to take a whole ton of money to come in here, and as the developer made it very clear, that thing has to be stacked in order for it to happen. It's not going to happen tomorrow. Number two, I did put some suggestions out to Mrs. Stapleton concerning the property, knowing that I've been here. I've been to the community meetings. I've heard your voices, and I've voiced things that I think could work for the high school. One of the things that I think would work there is some type of affordable housing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But we can't put all 4 people together. That does not work. That's why all the towers have been torn down. Look at East Falls. We have a great example of mixed use.
Yes.
It represents what the community should look like. Amen. We don't just have all poor people here in Germantown.
That's right.
We have people that own mansions. We got people that own twins, duplexes, properties that are over top of businesses. We have a great complexion of things. And we are 3 times the size of Chestnut Hill. So even though Chestnut Hill and Mount Airy are built out beautifully, we have more here. We have more assets.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Our greatest asset is our history. Let that sit and marinate for a minute. This is in a historical district where there's 15 historical properties in this immediate district. And we first thing we have to take into consideration is the fact of the historical context of the property. The second thing that we have to take into consideration is that we need some type of credit tenants. People that are willing to not bring any more of the junk stuff we got on Germantown Avenue and Shelton Avenue, but people that are going to create jobs, economic opportunity, and we don't want no more junk businesses up in here. We don't need no more. No more. We want stuff that's going to make people, instead of taking their dollar over these falls to the new shopping center over there, up on City Avenue, or way up in Mount Airy, or whatever Cheltenham Avenue, they ought to be able to spend their dollars right here.
Yes, sir.
That's what we want. So if you want to know what we want, am I right?
Yes.
This is what we want. Next thing. The building is so big, it can't just house housing.
Bowling alley.
We got a building here that I was an art student, because I went to school for architecture, I have a degree in architecture. Graduated from community college, Drexel University, and in that very building, to the left, it was the arts part. And Germantown has a rich history of artists. Rich history. A lot of professional artists here. What about some artist lofts? Yeah. What about some co-ops for artists? What about some community space for artists? And then it has a great gymnasium in the back. A great gymnasium. There's all the personal trainers around the area. Why can't we do a business for personal trainers and make it a community space, so we can bring in personal trainers, generate the revenue, but at the same time, become a great place for our community people to go work out and do the things they need to do, because you have to understand, as great as the ideas is, if it don't generate money, it don't work.
We have a bunch of people.
Yes, I know.
I appreciate your thoughts.
Here's the last thought.
They're shared by a lot of people.
I don't want to come use this time right here, because we have so little of it, to complain. We need solutions. And if you have ideas, you've got solutions. One of them, I think, is maybe we can generate some kind of grant to hire a young lady like this that has experience in working in this context as a consultant to us. Not necessarily as the developer. But some of the things that she said was excellent, because she puts you on the other side of the table where a developer has to think, how can I satisfy the community, but at the same time, I want to make this money. Thank you.
All right.
Good evening. I'm Lisa Hopkins, formerly from Northwest Neighbors of Germantown. That was my volunteer organization for almost 8 years. We were ingenuitive in helping to get that Queen Lane Tower knocked down and protection and preservation of the Germantown Pirates Bill, where our ancestors were there and desecrated for 60 years. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I wanted to thank Steve McKenzie, Cindy Bass, and the pastor for this time. Reverend Halsey did mention that there are a lot of artists. I'm a playwright, director, and producer for plays for children. We started our after-school program at at Roosevelt for 3 years. We went to John B. Kelly. We're presently at BCM, but we have children from all over this area coming to our after-school programs. We do ethnocentric plays, we do regular plays, but I'm looking at Germantown with a beautiful theater, okay? To be a community local theater, a training program in dance, music, visual arts, and theater. That's what my program does. So they don't knock down that part. That's a beautiful use of venue for people. And looking at the Met, which is very, very successful, that will bring money back, I'm sure, over the $600,000 that was spent with both of these two buildings. So we can bring in local artists, we can bring in international artists, but our children need an outlet. There are no recreational facilities near here, and if there are, they're dilapidated. The school district is taking out the art teachers, the music teachers. There's no outlet for these children. So we need a recreational facility, we need a theater, dance, all full performing arts program. So I would like to see that theater that's still in good working order to be of use. Thank you.
Reverend Antoine Jackson of the Providence Baptist Church, 87 East Haines Street. I've been there approximately a year and a half, almost 2 years now. We have, over the years, have attempted to contact the school district. I have more of a question as to how we got here, more than an idea for the neighborhood. In that attempt, for almost 30 years, there was never any callbacks, and to hear tonight that these properties were sold little next to nothing when we've attempted to procure the parking lot in its entirety, but been unable to. As a consequence, when people ride by, because of the dilapidated walls, it appears that the parking lot belongs to us in its entirety, and it doesn't. But we've cleaned that parking lot. We've made sure that parking lot was cleared when it snowed. We made sure that the sidewalks are cleared. And since I've been here, I make sure I do it myself when it's needed. My concern with this whole meeting is, while we're pitching ideas, what is it going to take for us to get this developer to come here tonight?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What is it going to take for us to be able to actually have a stakeholder? Because we could have came together and put money together to purchase these buildings. But they were sold for so cheap. And I've talked to the developer myself. And that whole tree line, I have trees falling in our parking lot. Every Sunday morning I pull up to my church. I pray to God that nobody parks along that tree line and their car is towed because of these trees. Now, my other issue with that is that simply this: how can we hold him more accountable to clean up while they're working on trying to figure out what they plan on presenting or pitching to us? What can we do to press them to make sure they take full responsibility, since they paid a little next to nothing for these properties?
Well, thank you for your question. I'm going to try to answer them as best I can, because I'm not the developer and I'm not representing the school district. But I can tell you that, in my opinion, and I spoke with Julie about this, that I felt that this meeting really did kind of jump the gun, because we are putting together a meeting with the developer on behalf of the community. So we expect that meeting is going to be within the first 2 weeks of April. We should have a date probably tomorrow. So we will be happy to facilitate a meeting to bring them back. And Pastor, I'm assuming we can meet here at James again, okay? And we will have them come forward and discuss what they've done, what they will do to be more responsible for this property. I think that they have done pretty much a terrible job in terms of maintaining this facility. And that's something that, I know that Representative Kinsey's office have called, we have called, we've been in touch with them about cleaning up and maintaining this property and, holding them accountable. So we fully intend to have them come forward and lay out their plans, discuss whatever plans they have. I do want to actually go off script a little bit and just mention that I saw something about, some design of like a shopping center or something like that. I saw that on Facebook, like many other people saw it. So we need to ask them, what is it that you have already done? What is it that you think you are intending to do? And how can you make these plans without talking directly to the community? So we intend to have them forward for that very important conversation.
If I can go on record, I want to be of assistance in any way that we can. We open our property, our doors. As many of you already parked in the lot down there. We want you to know that we are here to work in conjunction with you to make sure that this community is revived the way that it should be, that it represents all of its rich history and culture, and which has been developed here in
Germantown. We welcome you to come and join us, because this meeting happened so fast that we weren't able to connect and should have connected because of their interests as being a near neighbor around here as well. So you're welcome to come up if you like and be a part of this. We have 18 people in line.
And one of them is always
Okay, wait a minute. 19 people in line. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And so we're supposed to be ending at 8:30. So we need folk to give as concise of a statement as they can. I see folk with about 5 pages. I'm nervous when I see 5 pages. I'm nervous. You know, I see a few, everybody blame preachers for talking to them well. But anyway, no, it's very important for everyone to be a part of this, so we'll give you the opportunity now, but please be mindful of the time. Thank you so much.
Good evening. My name is Suzanne Ponson, and I live in the 5900 block of McCallum Street. I've lived in Germantown for 38 years. I attended a fundraiser last Thursday at the law offices of Bill Paxson, and it was hosted by Darwin Bouvet, who's an attorney there. And I went because there had been some concern because Mr. Bouvet's job as an attorney, he works with developers and persuades and does everything for the purpose of helping developers develop property and get zoning changes and so forth. So it struck me as a little odd. The optics were not good to me, and I may be the only one, but whatever. Anyway, I went, and there were several developers there, and attorneys and bankers. I was, besides Cindy and maybe one of her staffers, I think I was the only one that could actually vote for her. Because all the other people lived in Center City or New Jersey or wherever. Anyway, okay, get to it. So, I asked you some questions and you answered them and I reported them, and on Nextdoor you said that you had contact with the Jack Azran and the developers, but you couldn't remember the name of the developers about a year ago, and that you hadn't been in touch with them since. I neglected to ask your host, Mr. Bouvet, if he was representing any of the developers of that property. So I sent him an email, 2 emails, and I asked him to, you were kind of concerned that maybe you were being misrepresented. And I was willing to give you the benefit of the doubt and hear, an answer to that question of if he is representing a developer, the developerate or associated with the developer of the German high school site. I sent him 2 emails and he has not responded. And I copied you in on both of those emails. I just want to know if you know that the host of your fundraiser is associated with the development of this property in any way.
Well, let me just answer the question. I thank you for coming, but I do want to be clear that a number of things that you said in your email were incorrect, or in your Nextdoor post. You attributed something that Darwin said to me, that I used the word nefarious or something like that. Well, you spoke with Darwin while you were there, so you could have asked him your question while you were there, and you did not. So, but at the same time, you quoted again something that he said to me in your post. And so, do not yell out. I will answer her question. So, I do want to be on the record stating that, number one. Also, there was another item in the post that was incorrect in terms of actually whether there was an opportunity for you to talk with other members who were there, other folks who were there that day, if there was any sort of open forum so that you could hear the conversation that took place and what some of the concerns were. That you said that there was not this opportunity. When there was, you left early. Okay, so I just want to be on the record for that. The last thing I want to say is that, as far as I know, Darwin is representing this particular developer. So now, I do want to add that there seemed to be some suggestion that I just met Darwin. Darwin gave me a fundraiser because he's doing this project. I've known Darwin for over 20 years. If you look back on my campaign finance report, Darwin has contributed to me for years. We were friends before I was counsel anything, and before he was esquire anything. And so when we had a conversation while you were there, and you mentioned that it was Darwin's job to persuade me to be in a particular place. And my response is that I knew Darwin before this job, and the job before that, and the job before that. So I just want to be clear that we're talking about a friendship that goes back for more than 20 years.
But he is representing his
He
property.
is represented, absolutely. So, and actually, I shouldn't say absolutely, because he should speak to that, but you can feel free to reach out to him, and hopefully he will get back to you.
Hi, my name is Sue-Ann Martin from Simple Local, and she actually just answered the question, and I've been in contact with the attorneys for High Development, and it is Darwin Bobo. And, you know, I can say absolutely that it is. And I think it doesn't help you to say that you've been friends for 20 years. I mean, who are you going to choose, the community or the
I have always been. I have always been. I say it when I come in, and I'll say it when I leave out, that I never make a decision that the community doesn't want. This is a community-driven process. It always has been, and it always will be. And that's that. That is always the process. Whether you live in Chestnut Hill, Mount Airy, Germantown, Nicetown, Tioga, Alon, Logan, any of the neighborhoods that we represent in the 8th District, it is always a community-driven process, and it always will be, regardless of who the attorney is, regardless of who the developer is, regardless of who the contractors are, regardless if it's union or non-union, it is always a community-driven process.
Can I just say something very quickly? And I must say, the first thing that comes out of Cindy's mouth whenever I know I've gone into her office is, have you talked to the community? That's the first thing that she's ever said to me. So I just want to make sure that I reiterate that, because clearly that has been my experience with her. And one other thing I just want to say. Every developer must be represented by council in this zoning process. There are a few that are known and good, and they will advocate like crazy for the developer. That's what they're supposed to do. When they have a client, as an attorney, they have to represent them zealously. That is what they do, okay? So Darwin is one that is renowned. He's thorough, he gets the job done, and I'm sure that's why that developer went to Darwin. I've used Darwin. I've used Darwin more so because my company is committed to using African Americans and women in all of our developments. So I have used Darwin specifically for that reason. Okay? So whether it's Darwin, whether it's Rachel Pritzker, whether it's one other one that's in yes, there's like 10 of them, and they're good at what they do. So I don't be taken aback by the fact that Darwin is the attorney and that he hosted an event for her. She's very clear in her message to developers that the community speaks, and she's not going to do anything other than what the community.
So we'd like to go back to the public comment, and just everyone remember to be respectful in our home. We're guests here tonight. Thank you.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Stephen Bryce. I'm going to skip the introduction of who I am, but I just want to dive right to the question. As a real estate investor, please know that I'm aware that there are a number of variables and factors that must be considered as I offer this suggestion. I'm suggesting that perhaps the developers and all those who are involved in this process can think about creating some sort of an internship program that will invite young women and men to get some hands-on experience with development, construction, banging on the wood, whatever the case may be. I think there are a number of benefits that might be realized if we were to incorporate or create some level of internship that invite our young women and men to be a part of this process. And if the community and the developers are interested in this, I would love to volunteer to kind of corral all of us, or some of us, to put in the groundwork for that.
Hi everyone. Next to all the organizers of this event, my name is Angela Steele. I live on McCollum. Try and make this quick. I wrote down our assets are our history. It's a great quote, and my question is about the National Historic Register. My understanding of the National Historic Register is that if you have a property that is eligible to be listed or is listed on that register, you can protect the facade, you can protect specific elements like the gymnasium, like the auditorium, like other parts that people have talked about. Has that been explored for this property that needs knowledge?
That is being explored.
The National Register doesn't protect the property, though. Just make that clear. Yeah. It is listed, it does allow for tax credits, though.
Again, we just want to ask the questions, and if those would have to answer that question, you could just hold that answer, instead of yelling it out, and maybe come and get in line so you can be able to answer that question. That would be really helpful. We want to give everybody a chance to be able to speak.
Wow. Good evening, everybody. I'm Joe Budd, member of Men Who Care of Germantown. We have been engaged in Germantown doing work in the community for the last 8 years, since 2011. We were part of the coalition Julie was talking about when they closed Germantown to reopen Germantown as a community school. And I'm hearing a lot of ideas along the same lines of what we were talking about putting a community school in there where we can put VOTEC to teach the young kids how to go right into the trades. Also, the young men that's on the corner, men and women that's on the corners now that don't have jobs, you teach them that they can get certificates and go straight to work. So you're giving them hope and you're giving them an opportunity to learn something without going to college. A lot of them just don't go to college. So we wanted to put that in there. And there's a lot of space. I believe it's 360,000 square feet in Germantown. We were only asking for 60,000 square foot. So I'm thinking if we add that with the commercial part of it, the developers can make their money, or the investors can make their money, and we still can have something for the community, have community space where the community can come in and we can have training centers. There's a lot of things that we can do, but I'm looking around the room and I'm listening, I'm hearing the passion that everybody has in here. But we got to channel that passion together. We got to unify in order to do something positive at Germantown High School. And I just want to say, you know, we're in Roosevelt, we're in Martin Luther King, we're in the schools now doing the work of the community, but we need people. So we're talking about something that might not be for 5 years down the line. So you got to prepare the community to move into that space. So if we're not prepared, how are we going to take the space and make it to be as prosperous as it can be? So you still have crime, and we just talked to the captain about the crime. How do you curtail the crime without educating our young people? I heard somebody talking about the babies. The babies are dying every day. And we're very passionate about what's happening to Germantown, but are we as passionate about the babies dying on the streets every day? Are we getting engaged with them at a young level and saying, listen, we can help? It's so important and so heartbreaking to see this many people. When they was closing Germantown, we had hardly anybody. We couldn't get people out. You know, so where is that passion going to be about engaging the young people that they're able to be productive in this community and be ready to walk into that space? Because you can put all the business you want in there, but if you got crime all around it because people don't have education, they don't have jobs, what is it going to do? It's just going to be a space. And then you got to put more police to protect you from the community. So you've got to engage the children, educate the children that they're able to learn something so that they can be productive citizens, and we all can take advantage of that. So I'm encouraging everybody, if you're not involved in any school or anything, we only need you a little bit of time. If you can do one time a month, we can use you at Roosevelt, we can use you at Martin Luther King, we can use you at our center. We have a community center at Fulton. We put that together from the muscle. We're not getting money from nobody. Except Pastor Robinson, Cindy Bass, and Stephen Kinsey. They're giving us small amounts of money. But I'm saying, We need workers. We need volunteers to come together to do this thing, y'all. I see the passion. I feel the passion. Don't fuss at each other. Don't argue about little stuff. Let's come together and let's do this the right way. And if we get the right people in place, the leaders, to put this thing together, let's all rally behind them. They're only going to do as much as we push them to do. Everybody's here today. We push them to do what's right for Germantown. I think we can do that. Can we do that, y'all? Can we do that? Can we come together and stop fighting each other? Because this is Germantown. This is Germantown. All these people make up Germantown. We can make this thing work if we come together and stop squabbling over little small stuff. Oh, they got a VOTEC school down at William Penn High School, where I hear is very successful. When they closed William Penn High School, they started a VOTEC school down there. Why can't we do that at Germantown High School? Since they closed that school, so I think it's good and good job and being productive citizens.
Joe, before you go, can you tell us how we can get in touch with you, like what your website is? Men Who Care of Germantown is an awesome organization. I encourage you to get in touch.
Website is menwhocareofgermantown.org, and you can contact any one of our guys there. Stop by Roosevelt, just come see what's going on. We're there every day. You can call me 2677. Oh, we got the phone number. What's the phone number to the office? All right, I'll give you mine. 267-784-7975. Joe Bud, Men Who Care of Germantown. We need y'all. The community needs y'all.
Corridor, the Revolutionary War corridor, because from Klein to Banner all the way up to Shelton Avenue, George Washington stayed right there, Upson Street. This is the history. I want to know who is selling American history for $100,000. That's that. Then you can get to Summer Center from here in 12 minutes. Let the developer know that this place is an artery directly to Old City, directly to where the Constitution was signed, and the Revolutionary War was fought right here on Germantown Avenue, right where Germantown High School sits. Barney Park has a Revolutionary War memorial. What are y'all selling history for $100,000? That's American history. It's not just Germantown. That's all I'm saying.
I just want to reiterate that we are going to be having a meeting with the developer here I don't have the exact date yet, but we'll have the date tomorrow. But within the first 2 weeks of April, we've been assured that they will be available.
Good evening. My name is Azran. I've lived in Southwest Germantown for 40 years. I love meetings like this because it reminds me why I love Germantown. There is no neighborhood in this city with the collection of personalities, with the housing stock, with the history that this neighborhood has. The problem is we're often fighting the Revolutionary War amongst ourselves. That's our biggest problem. Once we capture that problem, the sky's the limit. Now, in terms of this issue, I think what we need to have is a little bit of historic and political context. In the last 10 years, we've had two previous situations like this, with very different results. And let me just remind my neighbors about those two examples. The first was the Shelton Plaza fiasco. That happened, that last time we got big box crap in our neighborhood. That was because our then councilwoman made a deal that we didn't even know about. There was no community process, none whatsoever. That was the prior administration, it was horrible, and we're paying the consequence of it. We lost an incredible opportunity to develop an important part of Shelton Avenue. Well, let's remember that was the one example I wanted to remind you of. Let's move the clock a little bit forward and remember the next one. The Women's Y. The historic, beautiful building that was taken down in the Germantown settlement fiasco, right? We remember that. Now, in that case, we did have a community process. I mean, I don't know how many of you were at the meeting at First Presbyterian, right? We're twice as big as this room, where we not only had a developer, we had the money, we had everything lined up, we had the community behind it, only our current councilwoman, for whatever reason, killed that. And I don't know why, and that building is still standing the way it is. The way it was back then. Now, that's the historic context. Now Now I want to give you
finish the comment.
Now I want to give you the political context. We are in the middle of a campaign season. This means it's a time of opportunity, but also of great danger. Great danger.
Let's be quick here because a lot of people.
The opportunity is that we can. There apparently, I just found out reading. It wasn't even printed in the Inquirer. I found out there are 3 candidates running. Let each of them talk to the community about their vision for that building and the process. That's number one. Let me also remind you of the dangers that were alluded to before. I'm not saying anything has happened already. Any donations or anything. I'm not here to say that because I don't know the facts. But I can say it's a dangerous time when developers and soda distributors and all sorts of people are handing out money to candidates.
Come on, listen. Again,
And we've got to be careful.
High
So let us stay united. We can build the Germantown that we need. Let's stay together, stop the revolutionary wars in Germantown, and figure out what we want with this historic building down the street.
Several people in the comments, so we'll allow them the opportunity to comment quickly because really we want everybody in line to have an opportunity to speak. Councilwoman Beck.
Well, I'm not going to go into it deeply, but, that account is incorrect. The account that Germantown High School, the Germantown Y, that I killed the deal for no apparent reason is absolutely incorrect. There is a developer on the deal. He had a meeting over at, I can't think of the name of the church down the street, in Germantown and Walnut Lane. He had a meeting shortly after he acquired the church, acquired the building, talked about his plans, met with the community, and is scheduled for a groundbreaking, I believe, this spring or early summer. And so he also has agreed that he will come back and give an update around the time of that groundbreaking. Now, the idea that nothing is happening because it's not some favored son or some favored developer is absolutely incorrect.
I just wanted to add about the YWCA as well. Germantown United CDC, as part of my work, has been in touch with the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority and the Councilwoman's office on that. The developer that she spoke about is KBK Development. The PRA's last update was because the building is seeking the specific tax credits. That is a somewhat lengthy process, and it's moving through the last approval, which is from the National Park Service for the redevelopment. So you will be hearing, as the Councilwoman said, about a groundbreaking, hopefully really soon. And Germantown United will share that information with folks as well.
I'm sorry, I'm just compelled to stand up here because this is not an attack on elected officials, past or present. When the gentleman just spoke, and he went back some years ago, we want to go back even further years when the segregation took place and black folks weren't allowed to do certain things in the community.
Don't do that.
We want to talk about,
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
That's fine. But all I'm saying is, let's talk about Germantown. All right, here for Germantown High School, we're not talking about some box on Pulaski Avenue. There's going to be future meetings with the developer. Let's not attack folks, is all I'm saying. You got to break against elected officials. Come to us and talk to us about it. But let's move forward collectively and talk about the future of our communities, all right? Thank you.
I ain't clapping for that. Don't clap for that.
Hello, my name is Jordan Strauss. I'm an attorney. I represent low-income homeowners mostly. I will try to be brief. I'd like to make 4 points. 3 of them are observations, and 1 will be a question for Councilperson Bass. First, I want to endorse what a number of people have said before about preserving this property in the way that protects its valuable assets. Those valuable assets include the beautiful land in front of the lawn, the trees, the facade of the building. Those are things that absolutely need to be preserved. I think, as many people said, one of Germantown's greatest assets besides people is the historicity of its property and the beautiful buildings that are here that are irreplaceable. perhaps getting control of the property. One of the things I noticed, somebody mentioned it was $100-some-thousand of back taxes. Actually, according to the OPA website, it's $78,000. This entity that bought the property from the city of Philadelphia, so the school district would not lose money, has not paid its taxes since it's owned the building.
Fulton is also there, so the 150 comes from the taxes.
Oh, so just on this property, it's 78. But it's 3 years of taxes. I represent homeowners who lose their homes that they've owned for generations. For $4,000 for a year or two of taxes, and the city has not taken a step to sell this property tax. I would ask Councilperson Bass to urge the Department of Revenue to put this property up for tax sale now.
Hey!
To be able to step in and buy that property at tax sale, so we can own it and we can control it.
Get that man's name. That man's smart.
People made reference to the National Historic Registry. There is a City Historic Commission. Unlike the National Registry, the Historic Commission can control what happens to properties in Philadelphia. And Councilperson Bass has a great deal of influence over what that commission does. If this property is not yet been nominated, I suggest this community immediately nominate property. We are involved in doing that. Some properties, I live in southeast Germantown, on southwest Germantown on Schoolhouse Lane. We're involved in a number of properties where we've made that designation. And I'd be happy to talk to people about organizations that can help with that. And that can serve some function, perhaps in protecting at least some of the historical value of that property. The last point I want to make has to do with how this, and I'm going a little bit into history, which people say we should look to the future. But this is a question that is sort of combined, the past and the future. I don't understand how this property got sold for $100,000 to somebody who had no commitment at the time it was purchased to do anything with it that was for the benefit of the community. And this is my question for you, Councilperson Bass.
That's a question to the school district. I'm not a party to the sale. The property was school district property that was sold to Concordia, a group of developers. It was a bundle of 5 properties, 3 in South Philadelphia, plus Germantown and Fulton. The Concordia really only wanted the 3 properties, so as soon as they could, they unloaded Germantown and Fulton to this set of developers that currently owns it now. So I cannot answer in terms of the sale prices. I was not a party to the sale.
And this is my question.
Sure.
What role can City Council play in preventing this kind of thing from happening? This is the city. This is city property. This is community property. These are things that we're supporting with our taxes. It ought not be the case that in Philadelphia, properties that have a tremendous impact on their surrounding communities can be disposed of in a manner in which this happened. If that requires legislation at a city level, then we should. I suggest we explore that. If it requires state legislation, then I would urge our state delegation to explore that.
Let me just say this. We actually have legislation that's been sitting here for 2 years for the closure of properties such as the schools and so forth on. I don't want to play politics here, but it's been in the books for 2 years. It's not come up for a committee for a vote. We don't control, we're not the majority party, but I do want to say that you're right on point, sir. We have the legislation. It's just not being moved right now.
And my question is, what can the city do something about it?
Well, that's in the Commonwealth, but they have their legislation. That's something that's certainly worth exploring. That's something that we can certainly look into. And I'll be happy to look into that. And also into your earlier question, in terms of revenue enforcing the collection of the tax debt. So that's something that our office is very interested in, and we will follow up on that and have a response by the next meeting.
Just the last point, I believe there is a role for the community to play in going to revenue and saying, we want this property to be placed up for sheriff's sale. We can do that.
Thank you. It is after 8:30. We coveted to be together till then. Can we stick together and just make sure that everybody in line right now, in front of Shantae, is the end of the line? That means nobody else gets in to speak at this time. But we make sure we hear everybody else that is in line now. Can we stay together to make sure we give everybody in line now an opportunity to speak? All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Oscar Beisert. I'm an architectural historian and historic preservationist. I've done a number of historic designations here in Germantown and all throughout the city. Usually I have to go to different meetings in neighborhoods and then explain to them that just because they're not in Society Hill, they're still special and historic. Well, I don't have to do that in Germantown. You guys already know you're special, and it's just such an amazing area. But I did want to just clear up, make a distinction that was a question that was brought up earlier about the status of Germantown Avenue. So basically, Germantown Avenue from Wayne Junction all the way to Cretan Valley Drive is a National Register Historic District, and that basically means that there's properties along the avenue that are significant, and there's properties that are contributing, and then there's properties that are non-contributing. So, that might include like a 1920s building, or it might include a 1700s building, and then there might be something from like the 1980s that isn't contributing. But that designation doesn't give any protection. That's one thing to keep in mind as more and more development happens. One really amazing thing, though, is that Germantown Avenue is not just a National Historic District, but it's also a National Historic Landmark, which is the highest level of designation that you can get from the federal government. Chestnut Hill's also, the larger Chestnut Hill is a National Historic District, but they're not a National Historic Landmark. We're like way more special than them. So just let that clear. If we get trash cans and banners that say National Historic District, it's going to say National Historic Landmark, and they're not going to have that. So I did want to just mention that because it is a listed National Register District and one of the oldest in the nation, actually, the Park Service actually designated it as a National Historic Landmark before there even was a National Register. Germantown High School is eligible for historic redevelopment tax credits. And so I just wanted to... I want to finish. Sorry, so I did want to say that Germantown High School is eligible for redevelopment tax credits. Just like the Y. And then I did want to mention that the park in front of the land in front of the school, I think that was like when I saw that plan to put like a parking lot there, or I immediately thought about the shopping center that's at Worcester Street that was put in decades ago, and where they signed the first petition against slavery, and then they demolished that to put in a parking lot. And to think that Germantown High School, which relates to everyone who grew up here, lived here, would undergo that same sort of treatment, it's just sickening. And it is a park, and that's it. It's a park, and it's part of a grand. There used to be a mansion sitting on that hill, and I think that mansion was there since the 1830s. So that has been a park since the 1830s. So I did just want to say that we have to fight for these things, or people will take advantage of us. And you already all know that, but it's a very special feature, and it has to be preserved.
Let's try to stick to 1 minute of each so that we can get through this.
Yes, we could.
Where did voice come from? That was you? Yeah. Oh, 1 minute when it's my turn. Okay.
You've been talking all night. You talking all night.
And I want y'all to know, I'm no longer running for council at large, so I'm not doing no political thing here. Okay? I want to give my respect to former Councilwoman Miller, possible Councilwoman Bash, Bach, TikTok, Councilwoman Banks, and this beautiful platform up here. But I am so excited. First of all, I'm real rude. I'm Habiba Ali. I ain't really nobody. Just a taxpayer formerly known as Mother Ford, who happened to be a developer to build the greenest houses with the help of Councilwoman Miller's office, with $1.5 million from her at 17th and Belfield, total passive greenhouses. And I'm a nobody. But Germantown was a borough before it was anything else. It was one of the 13 original colonies of Philadelphia. Know where you at, hold on to your properties, don't let them go. They're going to try to entice you with money. Hold on to it like you're holding on to the rope in a storm. Don't let them down. Not any more research, because I have a thing called a computer. Okay? And I understand that Kim Weinstein has bought Germantown. Is he here tonight? I understand he's bought all of Germantown, and I got a nonprofit. If he's here, I'll talk to him directly. Okay? Because I plan to call his office. I'm tired of us being raped without our permission. Okay? I feel like we're being sodomized.
No, not so
with
much.
no lubricant. And enough is enough.
Okay.
Now, I know we're in the church, I ain't gonna say no curse words in no English. I understand, brother, but you're gonna hear me one way or another. We can take it outside, or we can do it in here. Okay?
How you go from
I have a nonprofit development. I'm a developer, a 501c3 since 1993. Can I get some of that money? When I called the councilwoman to put $190,000 in housing at OECD, they told me call her. She said call them. The answer was no, Habiba. Why? Why? Ain't I a woman? Ain't I a developer? Ain't I from Germantown? Ain't I got children to feed? I got ambitions. So I'm just saying, enough is enough. Now, I ain't trying to disrespect nobody, but we sick and tired of being disrespected. Kim Weinstein is buying up everything. You better check yourself. Dig it before you own your property. I believe he the one that owns the wine, and it's been being worked on, and I know a developer who's fixing it. Okay? Yeah, it's a minority. You can hide your face if you want a kid. It's okay. Because I know Dave Richardson will not tolerate it.
Well, they ain't here no more. Let's move on.
Let's stay on.
Okay,
No, you hold on. Come on.
I think you're being disrespectful.
Please, come on now. Be respectful of the house of God.
Brother, I know why you have me in the church. I'm born and raised in the Baptist
So
church.
let's stay on the point.
Habib, yeah, you come on.
What is the view? What are you looking for Germantown High School to be?
Let me take it down.
And
Brother, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm trying to get my point across. I got a lot of passion. I have a lot of fire.
and we appreciate that. But you've been much longer than we asked.
Brother, I went longer
There are other people.
but I will shut up, brother. I'll shut up. Because I'm going to be heard one way or the other. But I'm going to be heard because that's what I do. But I thank you for your time. Anybody want to respond can respond. If I've hurt anybody's feelings, I beg your humble apology. Never would I disrespect the house of God under any denomination. But you need to have some of these meetings somewhere we can get it on. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Imam Suchuddin, resident Imam of National Philadelphia. One of the things that I'd like to say.
Speak up, brother.
Imam Suchuddin Muhammad, resident Imam of National of Philadelphia. And thanks for being here this evening. Yes, sir, you too. What I want to say is, first of all, that Philadelphia has been named the poorest, biggest city in the country. 45% of the people are living below the poverty line. Okay? 4 people are murdered every night. Got got the highest murder rate in the last 10 years out of any city. Well, not Chicago, well, I'm sorry, in Philadelphia, highest murder rate in 10 years. Okay, and all we hear is no suspects, no motive. Okay, one of the things that I want to say, while all these people are here, and I appreciate all you people being here this evening, that I know you want to make Germantown great again, but if we're going to make Germantown great again, make it great for everybody.
Everyone has to show up.
Make it great for everybody. And one of the things is that the sheriff sales, they have a sheriff sales of $168 million a year. Taking grandmom's house that she paid for 45 years. 30-year mortgage, 15-year refinance. Now here we go taking it for $8,000. One of the things that I want to do, I want to thank the councilwoman, Cindy Bass, this evening, because this afternoon she introduced a bill, the tax amnesty bill. And the tax amnesty bill was to wipe away all the interest, all the penalty, all the other. Because we've been robbed in this city. They say your tax bill say you owe $20,000. The principal is probably only $7,000. Yeah, enough is enough. We can come together for this. And I'm really upset because I see all these people here, and I know some people ain't even got money. We always doing it after the fact. We rode past that building, and that big old for sale sign set up there probably for the last 5 or 10 years. Anybody in here probably could have bought that building if you really wanted to buy that building. Why we always after the fact? We rode past that building for 5, 10 years with that big for sale sign on that building. We ride past with all this stuff up here. We're always after the fact and then trying to figure out why we come together and do something. So, you know, enough of that stuff. We want to develop Germantown. We want to clean it up. We want to keep our people safe. If some of you sit there because you're rich, you're not worried about tax amnesty. You got that tax abatement, 10-year tax abatement, buying that $400,000, $500,000 new construction, and you're exempt from taxes for 10 years. So we up there suffering, losing our homes to the sheriff sales, getting our homes taken every day for a little bit of money. So that's all I want to say. Again, I'm just here this evening really just to thank the councilwoman for introducing that bill. The bill got 9 votes, went to committee, and we're going to see that bill through. Enough is enough. So I think you passed it. I don't want to talk long. I want to keep on talking and all that because I'm not about to talk. All right, so we thank you for being here, for hosting us tonight. We thank the councilwoman for introducing that bill. And let's get together. Let's keep on doing some work and turn Germantown around. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, bro. We have 2 more. Now.
Hi, I was asked. I don't want to talk to all those people for very long. I'm Elizabeth. I live up the street, and I'm an artist. And I taught at Villanova for many years, painting and drawing, as well as Fleischer. I grew up in Park Slope in Greenwich Village, so that's the history. I just wanted to say I saw what happened to those neighborhoods once money came in, because I lived there when there wasn't a lot of money there. And the poor people get pushed out. So as we're developing, I really think there needs to be a place where everyone is coming together, and I think the high school can be that in terms of resources and knowledge, education. So the arts, also I want to say, the arts being cut out of schools, I don't know that I would have made it without the arts. And I know lots of people whose lives were saved by the arts, mute, and I wouldn't even be here. So I really think that the school needs to be kept as a school and kept as a place for this community where white, black, all people are coming together to learn, rich, poor, old, young, can interact and intermingle. And the vocational school, the trades, the arts, going right from high school to a job, because I've taught in the college system also as an adjunct, and they don't necessarily treat us that well, and a lot of people don't have money for school and need to have other places and ways that they're going to be prepared to be adults. And also the graduation rate in high school for high school students in Philly is really low. So all of the ideas about keeping the school. And the last thing I want to say is, can we get this back from a developer? Because I'm pretty irritated. So much of the focus is, how are we going to work with this developer? Well, do we even have to? And I think that there's a lot of philanthropists in this country alone, and Germantown is the only place in racism in America as being the one place where people have stood up at a very early time. So can we preserve our high school? We can buzz.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Birdie Bush. I'm a resident of Germantown for about the past 6 years and a Philadelphia resident for about the past 20. And I just kind of want to be quick and keep it very kind of concise to what kind of the main thing that brought us here tonight was we are dealing with developers who own this property now. It's a very large, very historic property that we have to come to some type of evolution with. And I think with my experience thus far, in Germantown in particular, is we all kind of very much come together about how incredibly historic this neighborhood is, and how the built environment in this neighborhood is extremely diverse and rich, as is the people. And I think I just want to part ways from this meeting and speaking to the panel here and Councilwoman that I expect more solidarity in creative reuse of buildings in our neighborhood. I was a little disappointed in how divided the community became with regards to the Boys and Girls Club. I was somebody that saw it as being absolutely necessary to preserve the building, but not to say that it couldn't be extremely modernized with a modern addition added to it, benefiting everyone in the community. I expect that for this building as well, and I don't expect us to let developers off easy with ideas. And I just want to drive home that the restoration and evolution of these very old buildings into modernized facilities is an extreme asset, an extreme asset. That was something that we tried to drive home with the Boys and Girls Club. You know, I've had experience teaching in places like Fleischer in South Philly, which is an amazing old space that services everyone in not only the immediate community, but our city, people of all incomes, all backgrounds. I had high hopes for this building. I had high hopes for the Boys and Girls Club, always did, and high hopes for other repurposing the buildings in the most creative way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Alon.
My name is Shantae Love from Emir Healing Center in James Memorial Church. Thank you for all for coming. I am the last comment.
Again, we thank you all for being here today. All the people who signed in will also get an announcement of the meeting with the developer that Councilwoman Bass is organizing. Thank you again for coming. You'll get some additional next steps from us as well. If you have not signed in and put your email in, you won't get the announcement, so make sure you do that as you're leaving. Again, thank you so much. Let's keep working to build a better Germantown.